Hey there guys, this is Sam
And Justin.
at the Survival Review, and today we're going to be talking about the 1954 classic, Godzilla.
This came out 60 years ago,
God,
and it is still awesome.
still awesome.
So, first started, I was going to do a ton of Godzilla videos leading up to the new one. I got kind of lazy, so I didn't. So, right now we're just going to talk about the original classic.
Exactly.
And then afterwards, I'm probably going to do some more Godzilla videos, because it's Godzilla. And it's the 60th anniversary, you have to celebrate it. So, yeah, so starting out with the original 1954 classic that spawned nearly 30 sequels. Directed by Ishiro Honda, I do know that. I'm a Godzilla fan. So, that is accurate. So, start out with the plot of the movie.
Alright.
These fishing boats, one fishing boat gets attacked off the Sea of Japan, and they go to investigate, but the boat investigating gets attacked too, and they believe it's some sort of creature, and ends up being
Godzilla.
pretty much. So basically the rest of the movie is fairly simple. It's just them trying to stop Godzilla.
Yeah, it's a really simple plot, but it works really, really well.
The main characters you follow is this one scientist. Well, there's two scientists in the movie, and there's also kind of a love triangle, which is...
Doesn't really go
It's mostly there, I guess, just to give the female characters something to do. For the majority of the movie, that's kind of like something to give the characters to work with when there's no Godzilla and they're not trying to stop it. And yeah, that's the basic gist of the plot. So, to start out, I guess the thing about the movie that's most surprising is how dark and serious and dramatic the movie is.
It's definitely worth mentioning that this is not the happy, fun Godzilla movie that you would see 10, 15 years after this one was released. It's
with kids cheering on Godzilla. They don't do that in this movie.
No. And it really
Godzilla
surprises
kills
you.
the kids in this movie.
Exactly. It'll really surprise you if you had seen those movies first and went back to this, seeing where it all started.
Yes. It's a story, basically the story of the movie, they took a B movie story and turned it into an A movie.
Exactly. It
It's
was
like,
actually nominated for a Japanese Best Picture.
Yes. It's like Jaws, where the plot is a shark is killing people, they have to stop it, but it's an A movie.
Exactly.
It's a classic. It's like that, where it's a goofy plot of a giant monster attacking a city, but it's done seriously and like it's a big deal. Like, oh no, this is dangerous. This is not good.
And it's done well. The actors are good for the most part.
They're a little bit cheesy. Yeah. That's kind of like the acting of the time.
Exactly.
They're all trying, but they're all more like, there's some cheesy moments thrown in. The only thing about this movie that, for me, are the major like flaws that make the movie actually feel cheesy is some of the dated effects.
Yeah, but I think those give it kind of a good personality.
Yeah, but there's a few times where you can see the strings on things, and there's a really fake model fire truck that crashes over at one point.
Yeah, but like as Godzilla fans, we kind of like that stuff.
Yeah, it's much cooler than CGI.
Exactly.
It's so much more fun to watch than CGI. But aside from that, most of the effects actually still are really good.
Yeah, they really are. A lot of them hold up.
Yes.
Especially, I mean, even though you can sort of tell it's a guy in a suit, it looks good.
Yeah,
and it doesn't look...
What did you say?
It doesn't look, like, funny. It looks serious.
Godzilla actually looks menacing in this movie.
Exactly.
He's actually pretty creepy in this movie. Because, like, the way they shot Godzilla is all these low angles. And his scenes are, like, at night. There's a couple ones early, like one scene early on where it's daytime and it looks goofy. But at night, that's when all of his destruction scenes are. And, like, it looks really creepy because he's, like, all black. Because you don't see like what color it is, so he's not like a green monster.
Yeah.
He's black, and it's really creepy. Whenever there's like a wide shot and you see Godzilla in the background rocking, you're just like, dang.
It's creepy, and
even the major destruction of Tokyo is done in such like a dramatic way. Whenever they cut to like a wide shot, the city's on fire.
Exactly.
Constantly, so you're never like cheering on Godzilla, like, oh yeah, destroy that building. You're like, no, God, it's terrible.
But another thing worth mentioning is Godzilla isn't actually in the movie that much. I think you said it was 17 minutes.
It's around like 17 or so minutes screen time. The movie's around 95 minutes.
Yeah, so he's not in it. It really focuses, like most Godzilla movies, on the characters,
yes. And
which is not a bad thing.
Not for this one.
No.
Some of the later ones, they don't work as well, but this one we actually are interested in what the characters are doing.
Yeah.
For the most part, like what they're trying to do, and how they're trying to stop Godzilla. You're intrigued in that, unlike some of the later Godzilla movies. They're not as well handled because they're like more goofy. This one is seriously enough to where like, yeah, you're invested with story they're trying to tell.
And it also focuses on the human element itself, like the people actually being affected by the destruction. You see, you see this kid getting tested to see if he has radiation, and he does, and you're like, oh,
well, that kid's gonna die.
Yeah,
that's depressing.
It's a really
the whole ending after Godzilla destroys Tokyo is really dark.
It is.
It's like you see all this destruction, you see all these people in the hospital lying there. This one scene you see a little girl sitting over her dead mother.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what?
Why is this in a Godzilla film? But it's a much more serious is the best way to describe it.
Even the way the movie's shot, like a lot of the movie takes place at night.
Yeah.
So even that, like, it's a darkly lit movie too.
Basically, the whole movie is just them coming up with their ideas to destroy Godzilla.
Yeah,
like
and there's even
with electricity. Or with what ends up actually doing him in.
Oh, the oxygen destroyer.
The oxygen destroyer.
And there's even some cheesy moments where the main scientist guy doesn't want to kill Godzilla.
Yeah.
And you're just like, dude, come on.
Yeah, that's a whole sort of subplot of him saying we need to save him. He's the only creature of his kind, and we need to keep him to learn from him. But he's destroying his city and killing thousands of people.
I see what you're getting at, but you can't just let Godzilla live and just it's Godzilla. Don't worry.
He'll be fine.
But the movie is a little slower paced. It's slower paced than what you would expect.
Yeah.
And it's cool how they made the movie because it's much different than most 50s science fiction movies. Like even the characters, usually in the 50s science fiction movies, are all like scientists and like old men trying to like stop them. That's usually your like heroes. But in this, it's more younger people.
Yeah.
And even though like two of the main guys are scientists, there's not really a focus on them as scientists, if that makes any sense. You don't see them in a lab working on stuff the whole time. So it's really different change of pace. And we should mention that 2 years after the movie came out, there was an American version released.
With an American actor kind of
spliced in there.
Yeah.
It's called Godzilla, King of the Monsters.
Starring Raymond Burr.
From Rear Window and the TV show Perry Mason. Because, everybody who watches our videos knows that.
Yeah.
Exactly. And basically what they did was they added in his character saying he's an American who had to American reporter who had to stop off in Japan. And so he's basically witnessing everything that's happening. And so basically he really doesn't do much the whole movie. Because he's just watching what happens.
Exactly. Most of the movie is just him observing.
And narrating and saying like, Godzilla's doing this. That's really terrible. And it's like, we can see that, Raymond. Come on. And for the most part, the movie does actually it keeps some of the dark tones of the original. Now that it's still much cheesier. Yeah. It's much more in the vein of 50s B movies at the time. It does have, still has that dramatic scene at the end where all that choir of girls are singing that song and you see all the destruction, which is a very dark scene. That is actually still in there. Overall, it's a much cheesier movie, and that's not what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
But I just thought we'd bring that up so if you see Godzilla, King of the Monsters, that's not really the original Godzilla movie. It's a cut-up version of the original Godzilla movie. So just so you know. But the original Godzilla movie, there's one of the things that actually was cut out of the American version. Well, there's a lot of references to the H-bomb and stuff like that. That's a big political feel in this movie.
Yeah, and that's something that was very obvious in the original, that the whole movie is really just a metaphor for the atomic bomb. The
whole movie is basically an anti-war film.
Yeah.
Because there's just even scene at the end with the oxygen destroyer and the scientist who made it doesn't want to get into other people's hands because he doesn't want it to be used to start wars, very much to kill people. And there's even a scene where people are on a bus and the person goes, "I survived Nagasaki for this."
Yeah.
So it's really blatant in the original, but it makes sense since it's Japan and it was 1954, so it wasn't too long after all that.
Yeah.
So it makes sense in the movie, and it's kind of them coping with what happened, which is a really cool element that was cut out of the American version.
Yep.
Out of 10.
Out of 10, I'm going to give it a solid 8. I really, really enjoyed the movie. It does have its flaws, but it's a really, really, really good movie, and I'd recommend it.
I agree with you, it does have its flaws, but I'm still going to go 10 out of 10. Combination of it being a very damn good movie and me being a diehard Godzilla fan kind of just meshes it together to give it a 10. I have to give it a 10, because it's the original classic that started it all. A movie that I know a lot of people don't regard as much. I think it's because they know the name Godzilla. So they're just gonna be like, it's Godzilla. Who cares? Like even Roger Ebert gave the movie a 1-star review. Which I don't care what critics...
blows my mind.
I don't care what critics say, but that kind of annoyed me.
Yeah.
When he said that. I was like, really? Come on. There's more to it than just Godzilla. You know, just Godzilla stomping on stuff. So I definitely recommend checking it out. Because like I said, not many people know of it as much. They just think of it as a cheesy B-movie. It's not that. It's much more serious, dramatic type film.
Yep. So...
Alright.
That's about all we've got to say. And we'll see you guys later.
Mm-hmm.